Yeah. So we're gonna look at a video in a second, and you might remember this. This was a news story back in August. It happened at a Garth Brooks concert in Regina in August. There's this young woman going from grade 6 into grade 7. Her name was Camille, and she'd had a rotten year in school. She got bullied every day at school. She lives in a little town called Southey, Saskatchewan. Went to Southey Public School, and there were some mean kids in her class. And she got bullied, picked on, made fun of for her weight every day. So much so that by the end of the year, she was saying to her mom, "I'm not going back to school. I don't want to be there." So her mother wanted to do something to cheer her up, to raise her spirits. So she got tickets to Garth. And the whole family was going to see Garth Brooks in Regina. So that's a big trip for them. And Camille was so excited, she went to the dollar store and she got some, like a bulletin board, like a bulletin poster paper and markers, and made a big sign to hold up for Garth Brooks. And on it she wrote, "Bullied but not broken." And then she also asked for a special song. She wanted him to sing "Standing Outside the Fire." And her plan was to hold it up, Garth would see it, and then you know how that would go. But they didn't have the best seats in the stadium because they didn't have a lot of money. So as the stadium is filling up, family figures out they're so far away from the stage that Garth Brooks is never, ever going to see the sign that Camille made. So mom asks the security guard if it's okay for her daughter to stand in the aisle and hold up the sign. And this is where it gets cool, because the guard read the sign and brought him to the front and said, "Front row." Gets to me already. So this is what happened at the concert.
Is your name Camille? How you doing, Camille? Let me tell you a little secret, okay? I raised 3 of you. I raised 3 daughters, okay? And all bullies are just people that are the most scared people on the planet. That's what they are. Okay? So here's the deal. I'm going to ask you to be like super strong and super tough, okay? Because here's the thing about love, Camille, that you need to know. Everybody thinks love is the hugging and the good things, right? The hardest part about love is forgiveness, tolerance, empathy. Instead of being mad at these people, feel sorry for them, all right? Show them some love, and watch what happens. When you come back for like your 10th anniversary or 20th reunion, some of them will be the coolest people on the planet, but right now, they're kind of like buttholes, you know what I mean? So you want to hear "Standing Outside the Fire," do you? People, I'm talking to Camille. You want to hear this? You got to sing it with me, right? Big voice and everything. Okay, you be strong, because it's stronger to love somebody than to hate somebody, okay? You do it. All right, Camille, here we go. Those hearts that have no scars to show, the ones that never do let go, and risk the demons being there. We call them fools who have to dance with the light. The chance of sorrow I shake, then all this comes with getting burned. Just to stand outside.
So I tear up every time I see that. Just gets me. Anybody else? Yeah, good. Not just me. I'm glad. So when I was thinking about how to talk this week about generosity, I remembered this story from August about this little kid having a hard time, doesn't want to go into grade 7, and this moment she has with her musical hero. I've watched the video several times, and then again I watched it carefully to edit it down so I could make a clip short enough that Dennis could use in the service this morning. And it makes me cry every time I see it. So I've had a lot of time to think about which of my heartstrings are. What is there about that moment that gets to me so much? Well, first of all, I feel compassion towards everyone who's ever suffered the taunts of a bully. Anyone who's ever gone through name-calling or cruelty at the hands of others. That just gets me. I feel gratitude that this person who was hurt, this young woman, gets to have this poignant moment in which one of her dreams comes true. Not only did she get to meet her musical hero, it turns out that beyond the music that lots of people like, he's actually a decent, genuine human being. And isn't that nice to know? There's good human beings in the world. That goes a long way to restore hope for the world. And I feel inspired. I don't have the hat or the talent or the position of a Garth Brooks, and I have no idea what it's like for him on a daily basis, how many people he has to deal with, to work with in his business, how much energy he has to put out, how every night when he's doing a concert, everything going on in that room depends on him getting it right. I have no idea what that would be like. But I can do what I can do. I don't have his gifts, but I can use the gifts, the talents, the privileges I have in life to try to find things to do, to encourage, to help, to raise somebody else up. I did a little research on Garth Brooks. I wanted to make sure I wasn't promoting a bad guy. Look him up online. He's done a lot of good things in the world. Used his position, his talent, raised money, raised awareness for a lot of good causes. And that's inspiring. Ever feel like you can't do anything? Ever feel like you're just one little person and the world's really big, and how can we possibly make a difference? It's easy to let cynicism, negativity paralyze us into believing we shouldn't even try, shouldn't do anything at all. Which makes me wonder sometimes if the opposite of generosity is not greed. Maybe the opposite of generosity is fear. Being afraid to share, being afraid to help, being afraid to reach out. Like, we can't do anything anyway, so why bother trying? And what if I try and I fail? Fear is a powerful force. When it comes right down to it, how many of us believe that we can make a difference in the world? How many of us believe that what we do makes a difference? I hope you believe it. Sometimes we act like we believe there's no use trying. Life's too hard. If we try, we'll fail and we'll feel worse after it. So it's really good to see things like that and be reminded that even a little thing like being kind to a little girl can make a difference in the world. And that people, you and me, we were made for better things than cynicism and fear. We were actually made to be kind, to be good to each other, to do the little things that each of us can do to make a difference. When God designed us, God built us to have compassion for each other, to look for ways to be kind, and to get over our fear and be generous. So, these little acts of kindness and generosity. A young woman, a young mother buys tickets go with her family to see her favorite performer, bring some joy to a little girl's life. She couldn't fix everything. I bet that mom had days when she wanted to go to that school and wring some necks, or bang some heads together, or say, please, just give my kid a break. You can't always do what you want to do to make things better, but you find something to do. I bet she felt good about tickets to take her girl to Regina to the concert. They're at the concert. Security guard in the stadium sees singer and says, well, he's not going to see what you wrote from here. So let's go to the front row. Takes a little girl and her whole family to the front row, to standing room only, where they can wave and where Garth can see them like from feet away. I'll bet that security guard felt really good about the little thing they were able to do to make a difference. So the performer, the guy on stage, known by literally millions of people in the world, probably can't walk down the street without getting bothered, having a crowd follow him, has to pay attention to thousands of people all at once, reads the poster, and basically interrupts the show to talk to one person. Did you hear him when he said, people, I'm talking to Camille, not to the whole crowd? Can you imagine how that would feel for that little girl? Imagine how it felt for Garth Brooks to be able to give that moment to someone. I bet he felt good about it. Earlier, Vivian read for us from the second letter to the Corinthians, written by St. Paul. And St. Paul had been working with these people for a couple of years, asking them to give money that would be sent from Corinth in Greece back to Jerusalem, pretty far away, sending people they'd never met, send them money to help them because the Christians there were having a hard time. And Paul says, remember, a stingy planter gets a stingy crop. A lavish planter gets a lavish crop. I want each of you to take time to think it over. Make up your mind about what you'll give. And he says, that'll protect you against sob stories and arm twisting. And he says, God loves it when the giver delights in the giving. That's where we get that God loves a cheerful giver. I bet it made them happy to think what they could do to help somebody else. So we started the worship service this morning. I was talking to the kids about that story of the feeding of the 5,000. I love playing with that story with kids. Talking about, did Jesus have a Harry Potter wand? Because whether or not we know how it happened, like how did it happen that 5 loaves and 2 fish became enough food for the whole crowd? Fun to think about the little kid volunteering their lunch and maybe thinking, I just have a little bit of food. How can I possibly make a difference here? But they got over their own hesitancy, got over their own fear of not being good enough. Maybe that little kid had been bullied too, but had the guts to get up and say, I've got something I can share. I hope the little one felt good about it. One of the blessings of being part of a faith community like this church is each of us who may feel like we can only do a little bit, or maybe we only have a little bit we can share, or a little bit of time to help, or only so much creativity or imagination, only so much in our bank account. Each of us can do what we can. And we pool it. We bring it together. And we make a difference. We can make a big difference in the world from all these little bits that we bring together. And that can feel good. Last week when I was talking about greed, I mentioned that I think greed is a symptom of a sad and hungry heart, where a person doesn't feel good inside and has actually forgotten what would actually make them feel good. Because the holes in our heart only get filled by love. Love that we receive, but more often love that we offer. And instead of figuring that one out or remembering that, the person with the sad, hungry heart somehow gets confused and thinks, oh, if only I just had more money or more stuff or more fame or more power in the world, more something. And they chase the more and more and more, and somehow the chasing and the getting of the more and more and more just makes the hole in their heart bigger, and they're trapped. And that's the wheel they're on. They can't. Nothing gets better for them. If only they could get off the wheel. If only they could realize the way to fill the hole in a hungry heart. It was in the Magic Penny song, right? Love is something, if you give it away, you end up having more. That's so weird, right? Isn't it? It's the opposite of what the world teaches. The world teaches, keep what you got. More. But love says, give it away, and you'll have more. The story of that young woman and her family, and she gets to meet Garth Brooks. The story of the little child who shares their lunch to help feed a crowd of thousands. They both point us towards the antidote for that hungry heart, for that desperation and fear we can feel in a world that seems to be about getting more stuff. The cure seems to be to do what you can, to give what you can, to be kind when you can, so we can all make a difference. Amen.